right. This fire truck should be good news for anybody who has a daughter-in-law, has a mother-in-law, is a father-in-law, has a son-in-law. That gospel is pretty harsh about what Jesus is inviting us into. That following Jesus is going to be always contrary to the part of our human nature that is selfish. And it'll be contrary to the world order when the world order doesn't put the service of God and others first. That when we live for self, we're going to be in conflict even with our own family members. That living for self will cause us not to be living the blessed life. We can back up a little bit from that first reading of Jeremiah. That really set a tone for me, because if you heard about in that spoke about the cistern and the mud. And for a moment, because of my generation I come from, I thought about Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Right? He's quick. He is quick over there. It's good. But what? It's the same thing with there, that Jeremiah in that reading is talking about God will give us everything that we need. That the water will come, that the earth will come, that we will have what we need to live a good life. We won't have everything we want, but we will be able to receive this ability to serve God and serve others. And when we do so, the mystery of God's love will unfold, and our life will unfold with it into the greatness that it's supposed to be. That poverty doesn't mean that we're without joy or love. Just the opposite sometimes. The simplicity of life we know can step us closer into being acknowledged in the great gifts that we have. The gospel reading, when first heard with the ears about the real conflicts we might have with our family members because of selfishness, sometimes we go right to the bottom of that gospel about we're going to be fighting with everyone. And in the context that Jesus tells us about it, though, he's really inviting us to think about it in a different way. The very beginning, it says, the world will be ablaze. And how I wish it were already burning, that there will be fire. And we have to remember when Jesus was speaking this, what was their experience with fire? See, fire was something to be really terrified about, but because of the fear, it brought people together. That any time in the village when a fire was announced, what happened? Everyone came together. And still our experience of what fire does can be one where everyone comes together. My brother Doug lives out in the country, Southampton County, Virginia, and he's a volunteer fireman. I kind of miss some of that part of rural America living in the Triangle, where you have the volunteer unprofessional firemen that would come. They recently had a big seminar about using the jaws of life and recognizing the different doors that they might have to go through at houses. Some of our ornate doors now are made out of recyclable materials and different things that protect against heat and smoke, but may be hard to get into. You can't just take an axe sometimes and split the wood to get in. They went through a seminar about the different tools and different really power tools they could use to get into a door. And then 2 weeks later, they were happy to get a call. A house near him, another farmer, there was smoke coming out from back of the house, a lot of smoke. And the fire department was alerted. Him and his friends with their own vehicles, with all the tricked out lights and high big tires, they all roll in, and there was one of those innate doors that they just had the seminar about. So they knew the power tools to use, and they went up and got everything ready, and they split that door open with the power tools. Bow, jaws of life. And the owner of the house, upon hearing the power tools, came back off his back porch where where he was burning leaves to find his front door broken into, smashed up. And he alerted them to the fact that the door was unlocked. The volunteer fire department did a little fundraiser to buy a new door. They scheduled the installation of that door some 2 weeks later, and the neighbor made them all hamburgers and hot dogs while they put it in. Isn't that a great place, right? Rural America is still good. But the fire did what? It brought everybody there out of concern. It brought everybody together. When we think about in the Old Testament and in the time of Jesus, you would want your enemy even to come to your house when there's a fire. That everyone we're in conflict to now has a common purpose to help. And it's the same thing with this urgency of life. This week we've been privileged right in this space. We've had 2 beautiful funerals here this week for faithful people and members of this community. And I hope you heard that right. Beautiful funerals. That our tradition, that our faith makes the gift of life such a gift that we celebrate it to the very end. And we celebrate it especially when it's lived well, which means it's lived in the order of serving God and others. With the ability to know also when we celebrate the passing of one of our friends and loved ones, that it reminds us that there's an urgency. There's a fire blazing in the world that we need to be part of. That conflict resolution of us to come together and talk and be one is important. And it's like the sirens that we hear when the trucks go by. We know something is happening and help is on the way. And we, because of God's love for us, because we're here at Mass, we're acknowledging that we are the people that serve God and are loved by God and serve one another, that we are to be the people that help in the world, that we leave from this place after receiving more of God's love at the altar, that we go home ready to help. And to help who? See, that's where the gospel, we don't want to overlook that part. We want to help the people that God's already put in our life first. And some of those people we're in conflict with. It's hard being an in-law. Because our people we already love fall in love with people we didn't pick. We would have picked someone else. We have to be honest. But that doesn't mean that we're stuck. No, it means we need to know them. That means there's something good there that's love that we might be able to fall in love with. And there's an urgency about it, because just as we celebrate baptisms, we also celebrate the funerals. That each one of us, when we don't know, will be called. So there's an urgency. We should hear some sirens now and then about resolving our dislikes and likes about one another. And that always comes with forgiveness and openness. Brothers and sisters, this gospel reading, Jesus comes and he says it's not going to be easy to follow me. But God will give you everything we need to be able to live the blessed life, which is to live for God and others, and to never stay in conflict, but no, come to the aid and help of one another. I've always loved fire trucks. When they come, I always pull over and try to get a good look, let them come by. At our school, each year, the firemen come with their truck, and they meet with the children. They show them how they put on their gear. The children always like the mask that they use sometimes. Show them how they can breathe clean air even in the midst of a fire. They also teach the children important things about drop down low and get beneath the smoke, and to have a safe place already aligned with their family of where to meet in case they have to leave the house. All of those things, make firemen not scary to our children. And I think most of us know when we hear the sirens and see the trucks that help is on the way. Jesus is asking us to be sirens and to have urgency about everything we do in life, that we're on a mission to help. That when we visit one another, when we're in the presence of one another, that we are ready to forgive, ready to accept, ready to help. Amen.